Technically, he's right. Yeah. I said, so.
Yeah. Okay. And it's Chris.
Are you just making money on this? She's like,
She's actually.
tell your husband what to do.
Yeah.
So she's like, but can she win the oh my goodness. Technically, yeah.
Yeah. Just the same way we want to tell moms and dads to butt out of it, right?
Yeah.
If they're a real estate agent in another state, I think they know everything. I can't imagine the world where I would like.
I know. I was thinking of you because you just bought.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah, so those little jumper things, so we're at benefits, right, for my son's birthday. Thank you for breakfast.
Oh, you're welcome.
And Zach got a
Hello.
jumper.
Hey, how's it going? Good, how are you today?
You should get those, that's like the new thing for like golf and everything, I'm like. I'm not like.
You know.
No, it's cool, I'm like, it's cool if you're. Guy.
Yeah.
Not when you're 57, 58, just give me a pair of cats.
There's
That-
plans to get to go back, I mean, in reality, just slightly nicer back.
Oh.
Right?
Yeah, the golf club rules of going down a little way.
It's a lot more fun than I expected. I was gonna be a little stuffier.
So I have to go to the
You know?
ATM.
Oh, you're gonna,
You know?
Yeah.
oh, that sounds good. Oh, my God, but it was fun. See, I'm like, good morning.
Oh,
That's
well,
okay.
I really had a good time. I wasn't like super, like, you know, it was kind of fun.
Yeah.
But I'm doing it for you.
But it was
because
fun. We were out there dancing, the guy was
Oh,
playing like all the stuff to get
Oh,
dancing kind of thing, so.
You knew it too, you called it.
Oh, the horse race.
Well, no,
Yeah,
he
I was
called me,
kind of like not sure, but it was, they did a great job.
to tell me that those tickets are like,
Macy's.
he did have some
I
buying
know,
on
that's
my
right.
tickets, it was on Saturday, all day Saturday.
So I'm like starting
Yeah.
baseball.
Which
Oh,
for a
okay, yeah.
5,000 person.
That's pretty
crazy.
So he legit had
So
some.
it was empty. But I had this like wrap thing
But
that
then he
I bought
texted
to go with it.
Because of course I
and
don't answer, I'm not
I was
talking
like
to
super
anybody.
insecure about it because it
Yeah.
Not that
it
person.
looked better
Usually like
like
either
with the
I
dress, but
try
when I
to
got it on my body,
or
I was like, just couldn't get it to sit. And I got out of the car and my friends were like, girl, take that shit.
Yeah,
And
so
he was like, you don't
He
need
says-
that, and just majorly look beautiful.
He says, I'll
about it."
call him away. He knows,
Yeah.
we've been dating
And
for
so I
6 months.
did, I put
He
it in
knows
the car, and I
all
was
the
so glad I did,
I know,
because
so
that was
it's
one
good.
picture of me in
Is
it.
it?
Yeah.
Okay.
And like,
So he knows like
like,
every 2 days.
you know.
Big difference.
Has he called me yet?
So,
Well, thank
one
you.
more thing
He
to
doesn't
put
even
up
tell
with.
that.
yes, it was
So when he's
annoying,
texting me, I'm
like,
not
yeah, I was
telling him.
driving there, I kept
But I gotta go
altering
back.
my
You know, that's how you
You know what I mean?
20.
Like it's
So,
so, you
anyway,
can't tell somebody.
So you're
I'm saying,
moving,
I can
it's like,
change.
this
I don't
weekend or
know.
Yeah.
Like, 'cause I don't wanna
this
be like-
week or what?
I've been
Yeah.
on
The two
But at the same
has
time,
to
I'm officially moving out this weekend.
And Justin or anything like, I'm just.
That was my
goal.
band, just like,
Yeah.
I'm like,
Well, just anything.
Oh, yeah.
And
I'm like, what are you wearing on the wall? What are you wearing?
That's like a sign. Oh, I know he did that last
I know,
night.
that's what I'm saying.
And here's the thing.
I mean, it's maybe, but I would be, I would assume
It's like
that we would cross.
and,
Yeah.
oh, yeah.
I
sold it.
Like you walk by, so if I know
You
my
never
good morning,
know.
I'm like, good night. And if you good night me too early, I'm like, I'm just gonna say night, don't talk to you anymore.
Yeah, no, buy some.
Let's go to the back of the day.
Yeah. Oh,
Be on
my-
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For this imaginary hot guy, that's gonna be.
I wouldn't say anything, and then like, I would just be short, and then he'd be like, hey, this is like,
No.
you know, yeah, I would say something, but not like, I wouldn't make a big deal.
Oh, I can't believe it.
You told me this, I didn't have to be a good morning, everything, I love you so much, okay, but I don't like that.
Also, check out.
I probably should talk about it.
Morning love, or morning, have a nice
And then she said,
No, Katie did though.
Yeah, that's what she said.
That's your objection.
Right.
So I
Sorry,
texted
I just turned around and said, I thought you were
her.
I'm at Cullinan now. I guess. I'm stealth now. But yeah, no.
You are, I didn't hear a thing.
No.
Like, he knows you're So I told him that if I ever say or guess,
Yeah, there was some things that-
so if he says good morning and I'm like, yeah, he knows, it's like, so that's what you do.
No, it's
Okay.
Like, he's like that all night, and I'll add it to the list.
You know what? Bonjour, like
Furthest from friends.
Joanna,
I'm just gonna get in the car frame. Just like, alright, just get in the car. I'm a passenger.
Oh yeah, I love it.
Get in the car.
No, I got one.
Let's work this started, sorry I'm late. Someone give us some good news.
I just bought a winning ticket from Brenda.
Yay.
So it's gonna be great.
Or should buy one?
No, you should buy lots.
No,
Lots.
because if she's got a win, why would I buy one? She's a winner.
You're a nice guy. Say, this is good news, right? Yeah. You have an opportunity. I sold the winning ticket last year.
You're
And here's the funny thing is Jeff Hart went through the office and was selling tickets too. So when I started selling them, I was like, how are we gonna know who sold the ticket? So I put a V behind each one of these, which is blue actually. I'm gonna tell you a story. So my husband always says I'm like lucky charm. He always like, let's play the lottery. I'm like, I can win a lottery. But I am the kind of person that I will win. Like I go through a drawing and I win like I want a week with the kids, a trip onto Fifth Cabin, just really weird. So he calls me his lucky charm. So I don't think I'm lucky, but I like to put that good vibes out. So I went ahead and I put my initial on each one and I did sell the winning ticket. So the drawing is on Valentine's Day. And it's 2 tickets to the Masters, which ended up being about $3,000. And they're only gonna sell they can sell up to 3,000 tickets. Last year they sold 1,500 tickets. As of right now, they've only sold 200 for about 80. So your chances, I wanna sell 200 tickets, and your chances to win are really, really good. And you wanna win, you wanna buy a ticket from the lucky person, not the unlucky person. Sorry, Jeff. So 1 ticket for $20, 6 tickets for $100. And here's the thing. This is really dear to my heart. Think about the Title I schools locally where kids don't have the money they actually eat when they go to school, right? In fact, we get together all the time to make lunches during the summer for those Title I schools, right? Like we've done that before. Well, in Honduras, 70% of the population live under poverty level. And poverty level is if somebody makes $2 a day, that's pretty low. So these kids don't really get to eat. And so this charity was put together to provide lunches for kids. And of course, since they need to eat, what do? They go to school. And they're there and they get to learn. And these schools have already started to graduate some kids and they just need to get to the 8th grade. To graduate 8th grade in order to sort of bust out of poverty level. So, dig deep. You don't have to pay today. Just let me know. I've got a little spreadsheet. I've got a little sign-up sheet that if you can sign and tell me how many tickets you want.
Pass it around. Pass it around.
Yeah. So here, right here on this side, and I'll put you down for how much?
Well, at least one.
At least one.
He said 6, I heard it.
6?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Alright.
He says 6. Who says 10?
Oh, look at there. They put you
Who
on
said
that
10?
Hannah, are you paying for me on my
I
behalf?
pay for 10.
Oh,
Who
good.
said more than 10? Come on, ladies.
That's awesome.
I did 6.
She did 6. Okay,
She did
well,
6.
that's acceptable.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anything counts. Thank you.
You know, I'll support that because number one, I would love to take but two, that's very by heart, but guys, and I don't want this to be a downer, but I keep hearing more and more about the schools where if you don't pay your bill, they give you peanut butter and everyone else gets the regular meal.
Cheese sandwich.
I'm like, can you imagine your child sitting there and everyone else is having a different meal than they, and they have to have that? Because it's like, we should be thankful that he's getting paid off, and I get that, So the United States of America, that we have children that don't have the money to have lunch is like beyond. And I'm like, wow, how do we fix that? And I'm sort of for helping other countries, but to have children sitting there that their parents cannot, it's like, am I going to pay my rent or am I going to let my child get school? We may be the only community we have all along. I mean, but I said that breaks your heart.
Yeah, and $150 feeds one child for the entire school year.
That's awesome.
That's pretty significant impact, I think.
Yeah, this is a great cause, and Brenda, champion it, but they say you should do things that break your heart. Something that makes you cry when you think about it. So, well, anyway, Brenda, you and I will put out those support your cause, as you know. Okay. Anybody else have something they want to share this morning before we move on? We have a full agenda today, don't we, Libby?
Yeah, we do.
We have a full agenda today. So anyway, anybody here for the first time? Anybody here for the very first time? All right, welcome. Then let's move on to our next. Hey, how are you doing? To our next slide. Thomas and Brandon.
Hello, you have me
Cheryl.
again.
I like having you again. Come on up.
So we don't have the class this month, we're at the GAR conference next week, and I'll be at that, and then I'll be at Mardi Gras. Teaching education classes on Bourbon
You
Street.
should.
Yeah. With a hurricane.
Yeah, exactly. So, I don't know of anything in particular. I know that Carrie has sent out the information about our happy hour when you guys are in Las Vegas. So enjoy that.
No, actually, that's what you talk about, okay?
I figured you did, so I didn't even bother to prepare.
Briefly. So we have someone right now that decided to terminate her BBA. And she terminated with what, Cheryl?
The unilateral.
Unilateral, exactly right. And the day after she terminated, it looks like her client bought the house that she had sent her information about the day before. And so she said, well, I have my protected period. And so I now want to go after her for the money. And guys, that's not the way it works. Cheryl, would you explain this to them?
Yeah, so, there are three basic ways that a brokerage agreement is gonna end, right? It's going to expire, someone's gonna unilaterally terminate it, and there's gonna be mutual termination. So with mutual termination, there's no remainder of the agreement, no protected period, no whatever. With the unilateral, if the client had terminated, then the agent would have the remainder of their brokerage agreement plus their protected period. But instead of sending the client the unilateral termination and having the client sign it, the agent signed it. And what the unilateral says for the brokerage section, when the broker terminates it, is that there is no right to any protected period or anything like that unless the client has defaulted. And there's a whole default section in the brokerage agreement of the different things. But there's no indication that the client had breached in any way. The client wanted to end it and the agent agreed to do that. So my suggestion would be to send the unilateral to the client and have the client sign it instead of you signing the unilateral termination. And then the third way is if a brokerage agreement expires, and for that, you still have your protected period unless that client goes and hires another agent. If the client hires another agent, then there's no right for agent number one to get commission. And that was a change that we made a few years ago. Because if you still had, say that I'm the client, if a brokerage agreement had expired and I'm trying to find my new agent, because I would prefer to have a new agent, if there's still commission owed to agent number one, I'm probably not going to be in a position, whether on the seller or the buyer side, to want to pay two commissions. So in that situation, what we didn't want to have happen was it expire and I immediately go without representation and buy a property that the agent had shown me or sell to someone who had come into the property. So we don't want that to happen, but if I go out and hire another agent, then it's agent number two that gets the commission. So just be super careful. And as I said, my suggestion would be send them the unilateral form and let them be the one who signs it.
Well, just so you're gonna say this, and we'll talk about it, actually, we do not sue for commissions. I mean, if you want to, if I don't do that, I can need to talk to the commission. And it costs her a bunch of money in the office, and much more than the commission does.
Tens of thousands of
And when
dollars.
she wanted to stop it, the other attorney said, no, we're not stopping it, we're coming after you guys. You guys, we do not do that because we end up all getting sued. And they said, what? Tell them look how much money they have. So guys, we may send a couple letters and try to get it, we send a legal letter, try to get a guy. We will not take them to court because we will all lose it. Unless you want to write big checks, we don't do that kind of stuff. So just,
Yeah, it may be the principle of the thing, but lawyers are expensive, so.
And you said that, not me.
Exactly.
Exactly right.
The only one who wins is the lawyers.
Exactly right. Anything else you've heard at all? Any questions?
I have a question for you.
Yes, ma'am.
There is a form called like unilateral, to extend the due diligence. When is a good time to use that form? I know that we couldn't use it when we have a due diligence period.
I'm trying to think unilateral extension of the due diligence.
Yes, I just saw that form like last week, and some of the agents that I was working with, they sent me that, but when I was reading, it says that this form is, we couldn't use it for when you have a due diligence period.
There's a unilateral right to extend under right to request repairs. Yeah, and I think that that's what they're thinking about. So what happens under right to request repairs is you go in there with a regular home inspector and they say, oh, you need a structural engineer to come in. Then you have, under that form, you have the unilateral right to extend for some special inspection by someone else. But under due diligence, you're supposed to do it all within that time. If there's any extension of due diligence, it's by mutual agreement, so it'd be buyers and sellers agreeing.
Guys, when you get those things, you have to send the other agent no clue what they're doing. They're calling one of us, not me. Call one of them. I'm happy to read it also. Just call us because we want you to know what's going on, be informed.
Because people will just grab a form and try and use it, and because they're unaware of what they're doing. And if I were a seller and they needed, if they were in due diligence and there was something that they wanted to check into and they were either gonna terminate or we would extend something. If on the buyer side, my preference is to extend due diligence, right? Because the buyer can get out for any reason or no reason. If I'm a seller, on the other hand, maybe I want to counter back where we'll add a contingency that you have an extra 5 days for something in particular, but we're gonna let the rest of the due diligence period lapse at that point and just give you the right to check into that one item.
Because their broker said they can do it, doesn't mean they can do it. Just
So
call one of us.
you would specify.
I would,
Or
yeah, I would
structural
carve out
engineering
that one, yeah, like, let's say it was a roof, right?
Right.
And so I want the due diligence period to end, because I know you could just change your mind, or another house could come out on the market that you think you want and you wanna get out of it. So I'm gonna say, no, you need to ask me for anything else you want, but I'm telling you right now, I'll give you a 5-day contingency to have a roofing guy come out there, and in the meantime, I'll probably call my insurance company too, right? And look at what that item is, but carve out something in particular.
Okay, great. Can we give her a hand, guys? All right, come on up here.
So every time we come up here, Jim scolds me.
For what? Without letting Daniel talk. Let's try it.
Good morning, I'm gonna start out this morning. I'm Danielle with Silverton Mortgage. I'm a loan officer, I'm not his assistant, so just want to clear
You knew exactly right, Jim.
I thought he was yours.
I know, right?
He can do better.
Making sure we're clear.
I just wanted to remind everybody that we, our appraisal management team are internal Silverton employees. And that makes a big difference in your customer service experience. I've had a lot of appraisals come back and people are just really happy with the timeliness, how pleasant the appraisers are to deal with. I think last year I had one come back low. It was Amanda's deal, and it was not a surprise that it came back low, but she was able to work with the appraiser and got him to increase the value by $20,000. So I don't know if you guys have ever tried to renegotiate an appraisal, but that's not an easy thing to do. And I think, well, I know that because we're all on the same team, it makes it easier to work with our appraisers. So just wanted to share.
Yeah, another thing about that is because it's an internal AMC, where we don't have an AMC, which is an outside entity that's farming out the appraisals. These are appraisers that we've worked with for years. I'm getting appraisals now from people that did appraisals for me 12 years ago when I started with them. The other thing is that they get the full fee.
Yeah, so it's like $430 for an appraisal.
Right, and they're getting it all. So what typically happens, and it used to happen years ago when we had an AMC, the client got charged $550 and $100 went to the AMC.
Yeah.
and whatever was left went to the, well, good appraisers don't wanna really be on those lists unless they have to. So if they're on a list like ours, where they're getting the full fee, they really wanna do a good job. And it is translating into good service. The other thing I want to mention real quick is 2 successful condo stories. I had a deal in December with a non-warrantable condo. Who knows what a non-warrantable condo is besides Rob? I know Rob. You do? Good job. Do you want to explain it? Do you want me to? I don't want to put you on the spot.
I'll let you.
Okay.
Oh, come on, D'Angelo.
Well, FHA, VA, like the government-backed loans, they like have a warranty that they issue on condos. Like, if it's fee simple, then you don't necessarily have to have that. Like, they might do like spot approval. But if it's condo ownership, then they usually require it. But it's non-warranted, but it means that the government-backed companies won't warranty the loan to issue it without certain hoops to jump through.
Well, and that is true. She's mixed 2 things together there. So but you're 100% right. Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, FHA, VA and all of them, they have a list where they've already, the management company has provided all of the documents to FHA or VA. They have vetted it and they're on the list. Well, that list, you stay on the list for a certain length of time. When it expires, the management company has to re-up it. Now, I've got to be honest with you, there's not a whole lot of motivation for a management company to go back and go through the hoops to get that done again. So I'm going to hit that one. That's the second story I was going to tell, which is an FHA spot approval. I've got one of those. Lisa Swan, who's back in the office, we're glad to have her back. We've got a condo in downtown Marietta. There's like 22 units, something like that. Years ago, it was on the FHA approved list. It expired forever ago. I've got a client with a 620 credit score who wanted to buy one of those condos. And we were able to do an FHA spot approval. The way that works is we gather all the same documents that we would for a conventional condominium. Our condo desk reviews them first to make sure there's no problems with them. And then he has a connection at FHA, sends it 2 days later, we got back the approval and we're going to be able to close on this deal. So the other one is a non-warrantable condo, which is a conventional loan where they don't meet the criteria. Because when we're doing a condo, we get the condo questionnaire, which is a ton of questions about all kinds of things like, is it still under the ownership of the builder? Has it been turned over to the management company? How many units, what percentage of units are past due on their dues? How many units are non-owner occupied? Are you funding your reserve account? All those types of things. And then we get a copy of the budget to see if there's money in the reserve account for reserves. And then master insurance policy, things like this.
And litigation.
And no pending litigation. We can do that with processor cert. But anyway, yes, you're right. That is a question that has to be answered. This was a deal that an agent in here had, and it was a condo in Roswell. Some loft something, I don't remember exactly what it was. But anyway, non-warrantable condo because there have been 3 insurance claims that were made on the property, not that condo, but in the development over the last couple of years. And the deductible for the insurance was $100,000 per unit.
Wow.
Well, suffice it to say that doesn't meet Fannie and Freddie criteria, but we have an investor who will do a non-warrantable condo. And so we were able to get that deal closed. The guy really wanted to buy it. And it's a cool looking place, but I don't know that I would have. But anyway, he bought it, we got it closed, everybody's happy. So condos, don't be afraid of them. If you need help, we'd be happy to help you. The spot approval was the first one I've ever, actually both of those. I've been doing this 18 years. That was the first non-warrantable condo, and that was the first FHA spot approval, and it was not hard. But that was mainly because the condo did meet the criteria.
I will tell you, if you have got a seller and you are and your seller is accepting a buyer, if you don't have that buyer approved with one of our lenders also, and you just have them approved through someone online, guys, you need to say in the contract, they will get approved through our lender also. They have to use them, they can get approved, but they'll look at it and go, that's a good deal, they can make it happen.
Absolutely.
Did you have a question?
Yes, about the VA loans. Have the same regulations that the FHA loans on those kind of condos?
They have their own
For the
list. They
HAA?
maintain their own list, but in general, it's the same.
Is this some of the same? Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
Okay.
Let's give them a
Thanks,
hand. Brought us a delicious breakfast, that you always do. I'm sure y'all really cook.
Yep, made it all myself.
I did
Y'all
that.
enjoy that? Got strawberries fresh out of the garden. No, I'm Robert with 180. I see a lot of familiar faces. Gonna talk about mold. We're gonna start warming up again. What happens when a home inspector finds mold in a crawl space or mold in a house?
Buyer freaks out.
What's that?
Buyer freaks out.
Everybody freaks out, right? But do they have to? So they shouldn't be scared by mold. We're surrounded by mold. When you call us in, after that inspector finds it, or you call us in before that home inspection even happens, if you're suspect to where there might be some kind of microbial growth growing, and we can actually take a look at that, remediate it before the home inspection, so it doesn't come up on a home inspection. Doesn't mean you don't have to disclose it, but it means it's been remediated, and then that buyer's not gonna freak out, right? I don't have to talk them down off the ledge. But if that happens, can the buyer call me and talk about that? Send the number of the buyer over, let me talk to them, let me explain to them why that mold is actually growing. We're not there just to remediate, but we're there to actually get rid of the mold. A couple services we're thinking about offering starting about the middle of the year, if not sooner. Who here could use a handyman? Do you have a handyman that you're using right now?
Not enough of them.
Somebody on call, somebody that can handle that? We're thinking about adding that service here by the middle of the year. Who here could use a dumpster that has tires on it to roll up and get rid of some junk? You don't need a big old nasty looking construction dumpster, but if something was presentable, where you could have a dumpster roll up and you could get rid of all that garage junk. We're thinking about offering those two services for y'all. It's things that we already kind of do anyway, and try to make it affordable. That way we can handle all those little things. So look out for those little services to come. But we're a full service restoration company. When I say restoration, that means we can remediate the problem and we can build it back. So flooring, drywall, paint, we can do all that if you need that done. We have got really good contractors that we've been working with. They're vetted for that. They're insured, okay, and licensed if they have to have a license to do that. So we got to make sure all that. We're going to make it easy for you. So if you need our information.
What parts of the city do you cover?
Where you want us to go?
Rex.
Where?
Rex.
Rex is a little far. It all depends on the size of the job.
Okay.
Yeah, Rex is it's gonna be a little outside of our service area, unless it's a larger job. With all this heavy rain, get water intrusion in basements. Is it healthy to have outside water running into your home at any time?
No.
What's on the ground? Contaminants, right? Fertilizer. You're eating the feces. We think, oh, it's clear water. No, it's not. It's considered category 3 water. It's just the same as getting a scoop of water out of a toilet that we're letting in our home. And that's to be full of bacteria. That's why we see mold growing in unfinished basements or basements where there's water intrusion. Not only are we going to remediate that, we're going to tell you why it's happening. We're going to get a contractor out there to possibly even regrade your whole yard, put some drains in. We just did a bunch of work. One of my contractors just did a bunch of work for Liz Carr. She's one of your agents, and her backyard was flooding. They came in, they did everything they wanted, that she wanted to get done, and they got that water away from the house into a bunch of different drains and pumps, and it's kind of a little bit nightmare in her house, but they're fixing it. So we can do that for you. Just keep us in mind for anything moving forward. Yes.
Not on a positive note, but they helped with I had a friend whose mom had passed away in a house, and that's a hazardous situation, and they were able to help us about 1.5 years ago, and it's a big deal.
And if
It's a hazmat.
If you're dealt with that situation, the company that's handling that in the state of Georgia now has to have a license with the state of Georgia to be able to perform that kind of work. We have the second license in the state of Georgia. So we were the pioneers with that, as well as helping find the insurance for that, the bonds that they wanted. for the contractors in that area. And a lot of times, 99% of the times, the homeowner's insurance is gonna cover that service. A lot of people aren't aware of that. That insurance is gonna pick that up.
It's not cheap.
And we're gonna deal with it, we're gonna do it thoroughly, make sure everything's been taken care of. So you shouldn't have to deal with that. So.
Yeah, and you guys a few years back removed some smoke smell from a house that my buyer purchased. And it was insane. You know how you go to the house, you're like, there's no way they're ever gonna get the smell out of it. And you guarantee your work. And they went out there and, you know, after that took place and painting and they got rid of all the curtains, it did not smell. So you can, and we worked it into the contract where the seller paid their fee. So.
How long
And
did
they
it
can
take?
do that at closing too.
Win-win, yeah.
So besides the paint made a big difference and stuff like that, but the remediation of that
Of
air,
the air.
how long did that take?
I wanna say it took a full 2 weeks. They did it for a week, waited, came back another week, and it was finally gone.
But normally we can get that smell out in under 24 hours. So we have a process to get that out. It's all 100% green. And if you need any CE credits, I'm teaching one up in Cartersville. That's a little bit far. Tomorrow, up at the KW office up there, if it smells, it won't sell. So I talked about the Board of Transmission. What's that?
Unless.
Yeah, I know. I think we're on the schedule. Yeah, we're on the schedule. So we'll get it down here again as well.
I love it. Thank you, sir. Thank you. I'm gonna make an executive decision because we've got about 40 slides to get through, so I want to make sure we get through them. Chris, Anthony is running a little bit late, so he'll be here, but please come on up here. Tell me, what are you all seeing in the market right now?
Pick up,
Say it.
We turn the lights.
picking up.
Which one, like?
Jim,
Mike, what do you see?
can I just make an announcement before we get
100.
started?
Of course.
We are having the shred and dump on March 23rd. If anybody's interested in being on the committee, please let me know. We're gonna be planning and getting everything coordinated in the next week.
What time?
It depends on how many people. Right now, I only have one other person, so we'll coordinate schedules and times.
I'm on it too, so everybody who wants to come on, you know we're gonna have fun.
Yeah, I like
We
that.
did it last year. Libby and I, we've all done it.
Yeah.
We need your help.
You guys, what's interesting is that it's nice to show up, participate that day, but it's nice to give back. And come and say, I'll help out, and several of you all in this room, you regularly say, raise my hand, I will help out. It's like, that's when I call Libby, she is up in the top, probably 2% of the office, 99% of the time she answers the phone. She does, and even though she's a full-time mom, full-time wife, full-time realtor. We're building a team, but decided to go the other direction. Exactly right. But she always answers the phone, which I appreciate. Guys. Anyway, so who else, what would you say about this market right now?
I think it's opportunity right now. I was talking to a buyer yesterday saying, hey, you could still be fully protected right now with contingencies and everything. And I believe that this spring, when it gets crazy, a lot of those contingencies are gonna go away. There's more risk.
Anybody else?
Yeah, I would echo what Rob said. I've been telling my clients it's a negotiation market right now, even though it's a seller's market, inventory wise. But I've told them like this is the ideal time to lock in the home at the price that you want. And if it makes sense down the road, refinance into a better interest rate.
That's right.
Anyway, guys, it is a interesting market right now, which we're gonna talk about and see what happened last year. This first slide, now we are by regulation, I mean, your family are. This first slide though, this is Keller Williams market share.
Now you are.
And year to date through December. And the next 1, 2, 3 companies, you add all them together, they're not at the market share that we have. So I get tickled when someone says, we are the #1 real estate company in the whole area. I'm thinking, #1 what? What? Your #1 what? And my friends at Atlanta Fine Homes, Jenny Bott Pruitt, I mean, they regularly put that out, says we're the #1, I think they say, family-owned real estate company in Georgia, whatever. But guys, clearly, you can see our market share is better than the next top 3. Now, I don't know who these are. don't need to know because it doesn't make a difference. Who would you guess this is right here? Who would y'all guess?
Atlanta Communities?
Sure, for sure not them. Who? No, not answer.
I
It
guess
prob-
EXP.
Pardon me?
EXP is what I would
EXP.
guess.
EXP is not one of those. It's not, no, it typically is Berkshire Hathaway and Harry Norman and Remax is usually
Yeah,
the ones
it's
that
Norman.
make that top group. And Libby, I don't know 100% that you're not right, but I looked that up.
No, I mean,
Last time I looked, EXP was not in that group, but they were not. But I just realized that we still have got an amazing market share in Atlanta. We still dominate the market in Atlanta, and that it did not change last year. End of last year, this office ended up, like I told you, we ended up with more listings than any other real estate, Keller office in Atlanta. We ended up that way. We also ended up second behind Alpharetta. And with a number of closed units, but they've got 700 and, am I saying it right, Rob? 725 agents, and we have 300, and we lost them by about 17 units.
But we had more listings than anybody
We did.
in
We
all
sold them
Metro
also.
Atlanta,
Is that correct,
which
guys?
is big.
So we continue to dominate this. Anyway, next slide. Okay, this is the next slide, and this is in condos. This is the condo market, and we dominate that more than the next 4 offices together, guys. So Keller Williams still is the dominant force in Metro Atlanta. And of course, what they say is, oh, Jim, that's because you have so many agents. I went. Okay, the reason I won the football game was that I had a better quarterback than you. But anyway, guys, we still dominate the market in Metro Atlanta, and that has not changed in the past 10 years. Okay, right. Libby, I'm gonna let you talk about this one.
yeah, so this is our, oh, there he is.
We just got started. Come on up here.
All
buddy.
right.
Tried to miss it.
No, you didn't. We would let you.
There he is, there he is.
We just started, Chris, you didn't say anything. So this slide is our inventory. So anytime there's a bunch of lines, it gets confusing, but you just have to look at the little key, which I don't know if you can see super well. So the gray is the active inventory, right? You see there's a ton over here, 2008, 9, and then, and let's see, I got in it here. So I've only had seller's market, as a lot of people have here. So the active is the gray. The green means a balanced market, 6 months of inventory. So we've been a seller's market since 2012, essentially. The blue is the interest rate. So this is kind of interesting. You can see high, low, and of course, what happened in, what was it, October? When people freaked out because it went close to 8%. So we're a little under it now, but, I guess, here we go, October. Interest rate, the black is the months of supply, so it obviously goes along kind of with the active, but it also depends on kind of the buyer demand there. And then the red are the sold units, which honestly, I was kind of surprised by this, of look how, even though the inventory is so different, the amount of sales is kind of steady. I mean, there's more sales here, but it's somewhat steady. And you can see this is by month too, so you can see
the seasonal dip that takes place every single year. Yep.
Yeah, so it's just an interesting time, and I think it's also, I mean, to me, I look at this and go, there's really no excuse, because this is the number that really has kind of stayed consistent over time. So like a lot of agents who had a down year last year compared to the year before, right? Just about everybody, there were less sales, and yet, did you have to? Were there homes sold? Almost the same homes sold. I mean, we'll look at the numbers and it's not the exact same, but you know what I mean? There's still homes selling, so.
But that's a huge point, guys, is even during, the worst market I can remember was the one like 7, 8, 9, and 10. You know, it was, I mean, we had listings that were like 30,000 listings, something like that. Right now, we've got 7,500, I mean.
Yeah, it looks like this is 40 something right here.
It's 40,000, that's 40,000, guys.
Yeah.
And even that, look, we sold about the same amount of houses,
Right,
guys.
and it's actually less, like, cause you're at 5,000, we're above 5,000 over here.
Not significantly, so even in the down market, you can do what, guys?
Sell houses.
You sell houses. When I came here in 2011, I came here, I thought, well, my agents are not selling anything, what's up? Cause we're having a terrible year. They closed half of the Carl Banker offices during that time. and they closed several here in Norwalk where I was. And I thought, what's up, a King here? And some of you all were selling to investors and doing well. So guys, you can always make money even in a down market.
Yeah, absolutely.
I promise I'll be quiet most of the time.
No, I mean, that just shows you, if you do the basic things, lead generate,
Exactly.
set appointment, lead generate, follow up, set appointments, you're gonna find success.
Exactly.
If you put your head in the sand and say, woe with me, nothing's gonna happen, then nothing will happen.
Well, and
It's not hard.
honestly, if you look at how dramatically the interest rates changed in the past few years, and yet the houses are still selling, so it really is, it's like, yes, it's gonna be interest rate for some people, but there's always gonna be people that need to move. And it's just us having to adjust. I can't, like, I no longer, you know, like 2020 was kind of amazing, 2021 was kind of amazing in a way, because it's like, oh, literally anybody, why would you not move, right? Like, I mean, obviously you maybe couldn't find a house, but the conditions were incredible. Anybody would want to move. Last year, it was like, okay, not the move up people aren't moving. You know, it's like you just have to find the motivated people. There's motivated people in every market. It's just adapting and shifting and finding them, going, okay, who's gonna move in this market? Okay, if you have to move for work, if you're downsizing and it makes sense, you know, like it's the have to move people. I'm moving out of state, and it's just kind of connecting with those people. Or I'm a renter and I want to buy. I don't care what the interest rate is because I've never owned something. You know, it's finding the motivated in whatever market.
Maybe you said to me in the past 6 months, I used to have to make 40 calls to get one appointment. Now I got to make 60 or something in that.
Oh, right.
And so can you share that number with sort of what you
I
have to do
wish
now?
I knew it off my head. It was definitely last year. I do business planning, and it was like, you know, you need a certain number of contacts to get an appointment that then becomes a signed agreement, that then becomes a contract, that then sells. You know, it's the funnel that goes down. And I can't remember the exact number, but I know what I planned the year for, knowing what we knew. We knew it was gonna be a down year, but then it ended up being more challenging than we even expected, because we did our like half yearly review and we're like, hey, guess what? You thought it was gonna take, you know, these 30 conversations to essentially get the person that's gonna go all the way down the funnel. It's gonna take 60, and it was like twice as.
So I could, since I just jumped in and been doing this, she came to my office this morning, it's like, were you on the phones this morning? I'm like, yeah. So I used to be able to have, if I had 10 contacts, right? Doesn't matter how many phone calls, right? If I got 10 contacts, I would get one appointment.
Yeah.
It is now 30 contacts.
That sounds right.
But more importantly, what you guys said, and I hope everybody hears this, is, and Reed and Hunter, you guys know this, that in 2020, most of us were order takers. Like our phone rang and they said, help me buy. Today, you have to dig in deep on motivation.
Well, and also you think about it, in like the news was really helping us, right? Anybody who paid any attention to the news went, it's an amazing time to buy. Last year, if you paid any attention to moves, it's like, the sky is falling,
Yeah.
why would we buy real
The
estate?
look on people's face when they
So
look at
it's
you, go,
like-
how's the market?
Yeah,
Like-
ooh, are you okay?
Yeah.
But it's like really, it's kind of, you have to do a lot more work in educating the consumer. And you can't change their mind if they're convinced, that's fine, you know, but don't waste your breath, but just being educated and being able to have influential conversations.
To take what you just said, Rob, the key to that to me was, you got an appointment.
Right.
At the end of the day, I know it's more work, but there's still opportunities out there. So yes, you're changing what you have to do, maybe changing the scripts that you say, but the work you put in is still yielding results.
Yeah.
So.
Next slide.
How the seller's market has affected us. So again, we've been a seller's market for a very, very long time, but this will show you kind of January 2009, which is peak of the buyer's market.
31,000.
December of 19 was still a seller's market, but not as dramatic as December of this last December. So you can see, I think these ones are very interesting just because I guess I'm biased, I was in real estate, so I wasn't then.
Yeah.
But like, look at this, almost half the number of active listings.
And then 1/5 basically go back to 2009.
Yeah, but still, yeah, exactly, a ton here. But it's interesting, the supply was kind of similar, right? I mean, during COVID, we got down to like under a month, right? But that wasn't for a super long time. Distressed sales were huge then, they just really haven't, barely on the board for as long as I've been around. The number of
You're seeing
sold.
distressed sales? I haven't seen any.
No, not
Anybody?
really.
None? Yeah. I've got clients that are like, hey, when someone forecloses, I wanna buy foreclosures, I'm like, cool, we know that happens.
Waiting.
I was told that 5 years ago and we're still waiting for it,
Right.
so.
And you all, 19 is used there, because that is as close to a normal market as we've seen in probably 20 years.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's why they keep putting 19 up, because that was a normal market, not a balanced market,
Right.
but normal.
If you look, we had, in ALC, when ALC, we're on the finance committee.
Yeah.
We kept looking for year over year, month over month, and you could never compare it to the previous year, it never made any sense.
You had to take out, 20, there's
20,
nothing normal
21,
about
22,
20, 21,
none of those
22,
things
yeah.
mattered, they weren't real numbers, so to look
But
at the
even
numbers.
even though, these match in a lot of ways, you get to the price and it's like, holy cow. COVID was just a huge accelerant in our area and really across the country, making the the median sales price increase by quite a bit. So that's good news for, a lot of people. Maybe for first time buyers, it's a little hard, but for everybody else, they win with that. Days on market.
Can you imagine 145?
Yeah, no.
You have,
Where this is your median.
you have got clients now that have 2 weeks and they panic, they're in full panic mode. 145, that's
That's the
insane.
most common number, that's wild.
That's what, that's
3.5 months.
3.5.
Yeah.
No, 1.5 months.
Oh,
4.5
yeah.
months. 4.5 months, you're
180
waiting
is
for
6
something.
months, right? So it's like almost.
I've got clients now, we went on market last Thursday. We had 35 showings, no offers, and he's like, why aren't we sold yet? And I'm like, this price.
Yeah.
Yep. I had the conversation away, it's like, hey man, that's what it is. But the thing is, if he had a conversation 4 days in about the house not moving, the more we educate our clients about what the current market is, the less fear we have when things are on the market a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks.
Right. And the percentage that sellers are actually receiving is fairly similar to 2019. You will see some, this is also December, right? So we all know October, November, December, you generally do see more negotiating in those months than in other months. If you're looking in the last spring, we were seeing closer to 100, which the only time in my career I ever have seen so many hundreds, and sometimes it's over 100, is, these post-COVID times. So it's just kind of wild, but most, that just shows, especially compared to here, it's like, wow, there's negotiating room sometimes, but not nearly as much as there was before. Price reductions, we're seeing still a good bit, a little less than 2019, but 44% of all, almost 45% of all active listings taking a price reduction still is a lot.
I use this number, the failed listings, whenever I have clients that are pushing back on price that we're way off. And I show them houses still aren't selling, they're not priced correctly. So I said, do you want to be 1/3 of the market or do you want to be 2/3 of the market? Which one do you want to sit at?
And what's interesting here is this kind of stayed consistent even through the crazy COVID. We all kind of think about COVID and think, oh my God, you list a house and then 3 days later you have 15 offers. There were still almost a third that were failed. So there were listings that weren't getting it right, even in the craziest market we've seen.
And why do you think that is?
I mean, just the price is
Price
insane,
condition.
the condition's horrible, it's, they were not thinking through all the factors.
Open door.
Yeah, or
Open
it's
door.
terrible marketing.
I know we're buying a listing like instead for 7 months.
I have a different opinion on that.
What's your opinion?
That the same thing is true all this time, is that you've got a lot of agents that don't have the hard conversations and
Right.
just list. It's the
Right.
same agents.
And just let it sit, and they don't have price reduction conversations and, yeah, I think that could be, sure.
What are the numbers? How many agents left our market, left our business in the last year? Do you know that?
200,000 is what they said at the ALC retreat.
Left?
That's in the country.
Which is what, okay. Which is 1% of the total agents.
I know Atlanta realtors are expecting a 10% drop in membership this year.
That's good news.
Excellent. It is.
It's good news, we're all just doing our job, right?
Chris, I think if it's 200,000, I think that's more than 10%, because isn't there 1.7 million realtors
Right.
nationwide, something like that?
I'm assuming that doesn't include.
That's like a NAR statistic, that doesn't include just three agents.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering too.
You guys keep remembering that the huge percentage of real estate agents out there are not a member of a board, they're not a member of they're in a small town, whereas Jim Alexander Realtors, they're not Keller Williams or Better Homes Garden. And remember, there's a lot of those, and the typical size of a real estate office in the United States is 6 to 7 people. Remember, guys, you're an aberration here in this office because we're so big. It's exactly right, Jess.
All right, this is an interesting chart. This is just for fourth quarter last year, right? When interest rates were high and people were freaking out about the interest rates. So the gray is the number of sold, but you look at this blue, it's so much shorter. This is the days on market. The blue is the number of sold that had reduced their price, or right? Price reduction? Price reduction. And then this is what the seller is getting compared to their list price. So obviously, if you're selling on day 0 on market, you're getting 100%, right? Mostly those are off-market deals, they just throw them on a full S and it's done. But your highest chance of getting above list is obviously kind of after that first weekend, right? List on a Thursday, you got Friday, Saturday, Sunday, oh my gosh, it's Monday, and we had multiple offers and we chose one and we sold for more. But even day 10, it's just funny, because I always tell my buyers at day 7, no way are we offering list price, but apparently some people do. I know this on list that people still do. But kind of, it drops off a little bit, I mean, 99%, but it really doesn't drop off statistically until 2 weeks on the market. You're getting 99, and this is the median, no, this is the average, median, whatever. 99% of list price, it goes down to 97. It's always interesting how sometimes it bumps around. But the longer you're on market, you're getting closer to a month, 95, 96%. So really, it just shows you your best chance. The market will give you feedback quickly. So if you're worried about, am I priced too high? Well, if it's been 2 weeks and you don't have an offer yet, kind of there goes your chance of getting list price for the most part, unless it's a fluke, unless it's an agent doesn't know what they're doing. But the stats aren't, show you that was your chance of getting list price. You're not getting it. It's going to be better to just rip the Band-Aid, reduce the price, and you'll end up making more, which is a different challenge.
So did you just say that within the first 7 days, you'll still offer a list? If it's 7 days in the market and you got a buyer, do you?
If it's day 7, probably not.
Yeah, I don't either. Anybody else, what do you guys do? Let's say we're past, no, we're shaking, seeing head shake, no, all right. At 3 days on market, are you still offering list price?
I'll offer a list.
Yeah, just for a good house, okay, 4.
I'll offer a list, I'm just asking for closing costs.
Okay, 5.
Depends if I'm competing.
Yeah, okay, you're not competing, we're not competing against anybody. 5 days, you offering list price?
No.
No? We're getting a lot of no's, no one's saying yes yet.
I will, but I will ask the 3% for sellers to contribute with closing costs.
Okay, so we're saying in the room here, 5 days on market, we're all of a sudden not willing to pay list price for our clients.
And yet, I had a condo that's been listed 9 days and we got multiple offers yesterday. And that's because agents don't, buyers and agents sometimes don't move fast enough. They could have gotten it for lower, now we're competing, and it's like, cool, game on, let's do this.
So is the assumption at 9 days when you offer full price, you're afraid you may get in a multiple offer situation, you're not aware of it? Is that why you offer full price at that point? Or you just do it?
If it's priced right for the market, I would potentially do still full price through the second weekend, but then after that, no.
Yeah.
Because then I think what's happening to you is what you're talking about. You get it on the market, not everybody's available to see it that first weekend, and all of a sudden you end up with multiple offers. Literally that second weekend.
Absolutely.
Is what
So for me, if it's my client, if it's their 9 out of 10 house, I ask them, do you want to lose this house for $5,000 or $10,000? And you go back to their motivation. If it's the house it's the 7 and 8, and they kind of think they might like it, it might work for them, then I don't go as hard at it. But if it's the house they're afraid to lose, I call them the next day and say, this house is gone, how would you feel? And they go, I'd be really sad. They were writing an offer to win. If something's wrong, we can write full price, then with inspection, call some of that if we want to. Then we can ask for repairs, not feel guilty about it because we gave them the number they want. At that point, we're taking some of our money back.
It used to be that you put a house on the market and buyers were seeing it the first day. That's not the case anymore. Buyers in a much more relaxed. They're just like, can we go next week? And they're
I was
just
thinking,
not
I
in
think
a
us
hurry.
agents are letting them. I think we're getting a little bit lazy. Like I'm thinking of my recent listing. We had one scheduled showing all weekend. We had 9 people through the open house. All of them were represented by the way. So really, it's like, I'm not saying agents are lazy, but I'm not saying they're not lazy.
I think that it's gonna change in about 60 days once we get to spring.
I think as we get closer to spring.
Absolutely.
There's no sense of urgency.
Right. Right. Buyers don't have. They're still waiting for the interest rates to raise,
Well, and how
and we
much
can't
of
tell
that's-
them enough times the prices are going to go up.
I have a question, if anybody's seeing appraisal being waived yet.
Where are we? Thank God.
I know, I was like,
I have not seen many. I have not seen many appraisals being waived yet.
I just,
I wouldn't
no,
say
I'm-
many, but I've had a couple.
I would say, I think that for a special house, when it's competing, sure, but I haven't had a ton of.
That to me is the true pulse point.
say that last
Is
word
it
again.
true what, Liz?
Pulse point. To me, that's the true pulse point, because they can have a couple of offers. But is anybody dipping into appraisal waivers or gaps or any of that?
If you look at the data, last 6 months,
It's hard.
there's barely comps.
Yeah.
You know, like
Yeah.
I think for my last 5 listing appointments, I've gone back a year, which I don't usually like
Yeah.
doing.
I'd say the
There's
same
just
thing.
no freaking sales to look at from the fall. Like it's
Yeah.
so,
Right.
you know, seldom and few and far between that I'm like, I don't normally do this, but I guess I'm gonna dip back to,
Or
you know,
stretch
last
my
time.
area more than I could.
right. But yeah, I think you're right, but I think that there's more risk, right? You know, there's always the most risk messing with appraisal now. 'Cause you're looking at-
Absolutely.
And guys, if you're listening online right now, if you wanna ask a question, would you at least tell us who you are, and we don't think you're somebody that's out in the crowd someplace?
You know who you are, Lizzie.
Exactly,
Give me
exactly.
your voice, Liz.
Okay, cool.
I'm very
Yeah,
good.
I've had 2 really different listings. I had one which I thought was gonna sit because there was that 2 neighbors that were there for us. Went under contract in 5 days and the others were still there. So I was really excited about that. I think it price-wise wasn't the best house,
Yeah,
but it sold well.
it is the best price, yeah.
Yeah, the next one, he insisted in putting it higher. I said, this is too high, it's not gonna go. We had about 25 showings, I'm pulling my hair out, 3 open houses, lots of interest, but it was priced
5% too high.
too high.
Yeah.
So finally, he said to me after all these weeks, okay, let's do the price drop. I said, okay, let the weekend up, because I was like, I said, okay, after this weekend, we'll drop it. We got an offer. I mean, we've had 4
That's
offers.
What price,
4
what
offers.
price point was it?
475.
So when you're calling for feedback from 25 people who've shown it, you ask the question, is there a price point you would purchase this house? That's what you need to ask your people, because at the end of the day, your number was what, 475, you said?
475.
What if someone's like, hey, yeah, I do it for 465, 460, your client might go, man, my next price drop is probably to 450 or something like that. I'm maybe better off taking this number right
Put it
now.
on paper,
He
yeah.
was not motivated.
Get it on paper.
Well, see, that's, yeah.
Well, the thing is, you at least you get a number from them. At least you get an offer in hand that might show them something. So they say, hey, we would consider it 465, great, send us an offer. Not sure if it'll work out or not, but at least it creates a conversation. If you give them a 465 offer in his hand, he's sitting there stewing on it, and nothing's else in there, motivation might kick in, it might kick in. You can't guarantee it will, but it might kick in, because they're like, man, nothing else has happened for me now. With 25 showings, might be all I could get.
Yeah.
So ask the question.
But
is there a
sometimes you
price
get
point?
lucky too, and just get that random offer in full price, and you're
Yeah.
like, wow, what an idiot, I was gonna reduce it
Yeah.
anyway tomorrow, but hey, great for the buyer, great for the seller.
This is where,
I'd love
this,
to know who right now would say after 2 weeks, my house is overpriced, 100%. Who would say
I
that?
have a listing, yeah, exactly.
Who would say it's not a price? It's not a price issue.
Well, it
Anybody?
depends on the days on the market for the community.
Yeah.
And condos are a little
Yeah.
slower, and condos,
Yeah.
townhomes a little slower than single family,
condition.
so that's
Condition.
different, yeah.
Well, if I could add to Chris making great points, I mean, you know, I've had an overpriced listing for the last couple of weeks. We just did a price reduction. But back to the motivation of the buyer, right? I mean, if you're a buyer's agent, I don't think those conversations are happening like what you're saying. We need to be having those, and I think we probably are in some cases, but most agents are not with their buyer. Hey, buyer, this house has been on the market for 2 weeks. You said you like it. Their motivation must not be there to want to buy it, because why wouldn't you make an offer that's lower, maybe well lower than the list price, and see what happens?
Right,
I
don't
mean,
wait
it's
for
as
the
easy
price
as
drop,
that.
because then the competition increases after the price drop.
I think there's usually other reasons why they're not making an offer. They're not ready, they don't like the backyard, they just won't say it. It's things that are deal breakers to them, and they're just not telling their agent or saying that. But if you love it, go make an offer. We need to be having that conversation
But it
every
goes
time.
back to your question, how would you feel if you did not have this, if this house was not available to you tomorrow?
Yeah.
I mean, you're asking them point blank, and if they're like, then.
It's okay. Yeah,
fine.
nice. Yeah.
Right, the next, yeah. We got a bunch of charts thrown
Oh
at
my
us
goodness,
here.
alright.
So, the number of sales, not the price, right, but the number of sales down, I thought this was really interesting, from almost 20% for 2020. Is this is just Q4 though, right? Is this just
What's that
Q4?
slide?
Or is this, no, this is
That's
year to
the
date,
year.
sorry.
Year to date.
Year to date.
My-
So,
That makes
what-
sense.
Which means to the end of the year.
Right, for the end of the year. So that's good news that I actually did the math this morning because I was curious. My business was down 12% last year compared to the previous year. But guess what? That means I gained market share because the market was down almost 20%. So even though
Say it one more time, because that's huge.
so my business from 2022 to 2023, I took a 12% cut, right? My business decreased in volume and units. However, the market as a whole decreased even more. So even though I was down 12%, I gained market share because there were almost 20% less sales.
That's, you're the patient shift that shows that, that's exactly
Yeah,
what it is.
yeah. So sometimes even when you're decreasing or if you're staying the same, and you're like, man, why am I not
Higher
busting
market
through?
share.
If the market is down, you're actually gaining market share. It just doesn't always feel like it in the moment.
So the market rebounds and you've done the work, you're
Right,
actually gonna
you
pay.
should go up even more than the market does
Than
in
everyone else
theory.
does.
Yeah, if you keep kind of working thing. I honestly can't even read to see what I guess this is probably, was this last year, the gray one? 2023 is the red one, 2022, 2021. So we've gone down, but you can see 2023 is a bigger jump down than 21 to 22 was. The sales price is up, right? So this is a good thing. This is the year to date as well, right? First quarter, second quarter.
21, 22, 23.
So 23 is the red. You can see the median sales price each quarter is higher than so even though we had less sales, prices did increase. So this is great news for any buyer that's like, oh, I don't know, I might want to wait. Well, guess what? Can you afford to wait if everything goes up every year?
You wait on the interest
Another
rate to drop.
6%'s a lot.
I was saying, and this is a healthy,
That's 20, 30, 40
we were
grand.
expecting 3 or 4%, right? Or a lot of people, when they thought of 2022,
Yeah,
they're like,
Gary,
maybe 3 or
Gary was
4.
saying 1 or 2%.
6%.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like, this is amazing. It's not 20%, which we've gotten absolutely spoiled by, but this is still above normal. 4% is kind of what you expect most years, so we still had a good
But my
year.
favorite script, Olivia, is that, so you wanna wait, okay, I get that, I respect that, okay, you wanna wait, okay? But for the interest rates to come down, so if they come down 1% and the house goes up 4%,
Yeah.
what have you gained? Have you actually gained anything, or what happened? Now, is that me sitting in my ivory tower, or is that actually a pretty good script?
No, I think really
reality.
it's just getting to the buyer, because they just don't understand it. They just get scared when they see that interest rate, and it's really about, what's a monthly payment where you feel comfortable? Let's get you where you feel comfortable, and there's hope that the interest rates will go down, but we're not saying marry the house, take the rate. Like, we can't guarantee they will, right? We're not convincing buyers to buy something they can't afford in hopes that interest rates go down. We're not doing that. But we're saying, let's get you a monthly payment you can afford now.
Yes.
Whether that means being creative with seller concessions, buying down the rate, whatever it takes. And then hopefully, in the future, it would be a huge plus if rates do go down and you can refinance. We're not guaranteeing that though, right? We're not buying the house in condition to that. We're just setting the stage for, I understand you want interest rates to go down, but can you tell me what's a comfortable monthly payment now, and can I show you how we can get that?
Well, think about it too, most people are not long-term, we're short-term consumers, meaning short-term thinking. What's it impacting me today? And yes, budget and affordability are issues, but when you think of the whole, most people don't think long-term.
They're in their house 10 years.
Yeah, correct. And Gary, of course, showed it at Mega Camp, the slides from Mega Camp, where just look back. I mean, 30 years, I tell buyers and sellers this all the time. Look what home prices have done over time. Look what you paid for it 10 years ago, 15 years ago. That trajectory is not going to change. It may dip, but not much. It's going to keep going up.
The trend line kind
Well,
of
one of my favorite things, Reed, you have a slide that shows the 4 scenarios that can happen for a buyer. Interest rates up or down, housing prices up or down, and of the 4 quadrants, only one of it is the buyer's favor. So you're asking them to gamble for that one quadrant, right? At the end of the day, you said you find the house that fits your family's budget and it's the right thing, what's holding you back? It really makes you ask the hard questions. What's holding you back?
That's right.
What are you scared of? What fears do you have as a buyer? And if you can get to the fear, you can talk through the fear.
Yeah.
You might not be, at the end of the day, I think that's the hardest thing for us to do is to ask hard questions and say.
We don't wanna be uncomfortable.
We don't feel comfortable, but at the end, if you ask those hard questions, you navigate them through it, they have more faith in you when they get to the finish line, because you've got them through their scary part.
Yeah.
It is scary right now, they don't know what's gonna happen.
That's where you're building the trust and
If you build
the
trust, and they,
referrals
yep.
Chris, I think the thing is, because your whole goal is to make sure that they're not making their decision based on a faulty assumption.
Correct.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
And that's where that asking the question, it does feel like you're putting them on the spot. But, I mean, a lot of people, they're making the decision based on emotion and not by, you know, there's four things that can happen with rates and prices.
Yep.
And only one of them's in your favor.
Right.
Can't time the market.
Absolutely.
No, you can't tell the market, scam.
Um,
You can, we'd all be rich.
And these really haven't changed it drastically from last year. Last year's white, which you can't really see that much with the chart, but medians, the price it sold for compared to the original list price did go up by 1.4 points last year. So that's pretty good. Again, we're not seeing like, you know, the 2021 is the year where it's just insane of like 100 or more every single quarter is bananas. You're never gonna see that again, most likely.
Oh, no, stop it. 40th year, 41st year, you will see it again.
All right.
I promise you, I promise
If
you.
you're in this industry long
You
enough,
just don't
you'll see another world global pandemic
Yeah.
that
Exactly,
causes.
it comes back.
But it's very
who would have
rare.
ever guessed that we sold more houses during the pandemic?
Right.
Guys, that's bizarre. That was
Yeah, especially in March, we had no idea. It's like, oh my gosh, I guess the world is falling apart.
Especially when the government is saying, don't leave your house, don't
Right,
do
yes.
anything, don't go anywhere.
And then by June, we were all like,
We were essentially.
That's,
You were like, this is.
Guys, come back in a different format, I'm not gonna come back.
median days on market is, you know, kind of, it's actually gone down.
yeah, it was so for the quarter it was 20 to 25, year to date, 10 to 22.
Yeah.
So I'm curious once it kind of, let's see, what was Q1? That's
Q1 was dramatic
that
last
is
year.
dramatic. I'm curious for this Q1 how it shakes out.
Yeah.
That's a.
I don't think we're gonna see
4.8.
44 this year.
I don't think either.
Yeah. Cool.
That's when rates were still high though.
Yep.
That's why.
But that's 44 is a jump. You jumped from what 16 or 11, whatever
That's
it was.
when
And this is
in
the
October,
same-
November, and I
This
mean,
is
I
the
had,
same, the last one was single family homes, this is the condo and townhomes, and really very similar
similar,
information. 17% instead of 19%. Sales price up even higher, almost double in the condos and townhomes, so that's super interesting. I always think that sales price suffer in condos and townhomes at
That's
super
very
high
surprising.
HOA.
That's how.
So that's actually super
I think that's a
interesting.
lot of new construction too.
It could be. But yeah, like I have a seller who, he's like, guess what, my dues just went up from 350 to 490, and I was like, you're gonna see that in your equity, because buyers can't,
Yep.
you know, you're gonna lose some equity over that, that's just a huge jump in your dues.
That's what's hard. First time home buyers want to go to a lower price point. They see that number. They see, oh, with condos, it's a lower price point than a single family home.
Right.
And the HOA just completely ruins their ability to buy a house.
Yeah.
It totally crushes them.
Yeah, kind of similar, 98.2%, so a little bit higher, and still median days on market is 28, so sometimes it feels slower than that, but it just really depends on that. Numbers sold by price point, here you go, so this is, again, 100 doesn't really exist, even
This
200.
is fourth quarter, 22, 23.
Yeah, so this is just Q4 is the gray for of 2022, Q4 is red for 2023. So really, the price points, almost every price point, right? We lower, higher here, higher here, higher here. So only the 750 and above. The luxury, we had more sales Q4 than the previous year, but in kind of our bread and butter price points, sales were down a lot.
I'm wondering because all the investors snapped up so many things in lower
Yeah.
price points, we're not seeing them come back to market.
Yeah. I think some of the investors are kind of liquidating some, but yeah.
But also, like, if prices have increased, like, by over 5% though, like, those are not,
Those state
they
homes
don't
are in a different
exist
bracket.
anymore, yeah.
Right. No, absolutely. Or they're just going so much further out to get them. Yeah. Numbers, so, wait, isn't this what we just looked at? Oh, this is 2022. Gray is 2022 into 2023. So, wait, no, we just looked at that.
We did, yeah, we
What was
just
the
looked at that.
difference in these two?
That's what
Q4,
price
numbers
range.
sold by
One
price
single
point.
family and one condo?
Yeah,
Maybe, single family, yeah, probably, single family, in town.
town.
okay,
In town,
in
yeah.
town.
I don't know how I got into
I love it.
Yeah,
That's my fault, that's my
They have
fault.
houses there, I heard, I don't know.
I don't sell in town.
Only only way.
I'll go to Jasper, I won't go to the city.
Jasper's a lot closer.
It is close for me.
You'll go see, if you have a client, you'll go, Chris, I know you better.
I will go,
Absolutely.
but as far as peaceful drive through a country road or
Right.
Atlanta traffic, yeah.
And this is an interesting one. So 2022 again is the gray, 2023, and this is both fourth quarter, is red as last year. By price point, percentage of the original list price received by the sellers according to the price range. So obviously, again, this is just so skewed because there's just no real listings. In our area, 300 is plus where the actual inventory is. But yeah, they received more not
Not the higher price
these
points.
two, except for,
That's
what is
total,
that?
that's the total.
Okay. So yeah, overall, sellers got more money
Under $1 million.
last year than they did the previous year in fourth quarter. So that's interesting, because fourth quarter last year was when the interest rates were going crazy, but you also saw a lot of buyers that were very cash heavy in the fall. They were still buying because they weren't as impacted by the 8% rate.
When we went into December of last year, guys, we started looking at our numbers, and at one point, Melissa, who is usually the one that wants to keep our expectations down, she said, Jim, December could be our best December ever. It ended up being that some stuff was put on to January. We actually had a pretty good December. We thought it'd be our best one ever, but it didn't quite close that way.
Yeah.
But on the books, it looked good though.
Yeah, honestly, I mean, to see, and especially it's interesting by the numbers that, that 750 to not, that's where like kind of the demand is sort of the highest, that 750 to under $1 million price point got the most. So that's kind of where the buyers were willing to pay the most, because that's median, right? So there's plenty that are above that, there's plenty that are below it too, but. This is condos, townhomes, same slide. So this is kind of a little bit more even. You're under, you're over, almost equal, under, over, under. So you're slightly under in condos, 98.2 compared to 98.5 overall in all the price points for the condo townhome.
Is anyone in this room like heavy with condo buyers at all? That has actual real world experience? Is it kind of hit and miss? You get one once in a while.
Yes.
That's how I don't get that many.
Has anybody decided to stop working with buyers right now?
With buyers or with condo buyers?
Whichever one, yeah.
No, I'll never stop. Because they can't buy or they can't figure things out that you're afraid somebody can.
Chris, I do think you're gonna see, the increase in HOA dues
Yeah.
is gonna have an effect. I don't, like
Absolutely.
the one in Marietta, $700 a month. That's not downtown Atlanta where you've got concierge services or anything like that.
And walking to everything.
Right.
It's Marietta, it's like,
Right.
dang.
Is it walking to like Marietta Square? That's my thing. At least you have something around you.
It's close, it's close, yeah.
No, I had a listing appointment last week at the condo high rise, which I don't do a ton of, but I was shocked by the HOA dues. Like over $800 a month, and she's been there for 15 years. I'm like,
Yeah.
now before I would ever pay that much money in that much time. It's insane. But she loves the lifestyle, and she'll still be in a good position. Median days on market by price range. So I mean, nothing like they're all kind of similar. Again, we see the same trend, right? 750 to $1 million, or just under $1 million, is where it's the lowest, because that was just where that's the move-up buyer that really, really wants the house and doesn't want to go over $1 million.
It only got bad to 1.5.
Right.
And then those houses sit a little longer anyway, because you're trying to find those buyers.
Yeah, and you can do new construction, so it's like, why?
There's
just,
there's nothing under $100,000. Yeah, yep.
That's the same chart, but for condo townhome, way more dramatic for this same slide in the condo townhome market.
Essentially across all of them.
But yeah, it's interesting, not in the same case, that you obviously want to spend that much for a single family, not for that. So it's up on every single one, except for the 1 to 1.5, which is interesting, but kind of similar, so.
I need to step forward, I'm gonna read it.
Yeah. The real story, so when you have, this is the averages, right?
Yeah, average sales price,
So if you.
sales price to list price, 25 days on market.
If you have a listing and you have to price reduce it,
If it's priced correctly, it sells for 97
Well, no, this is the total median, I think if it's priced,
no price reductions, 100%.
yeah.
Okay, 11 days on market, gotcha, sorry.
No, you're
100%
good.
sales price over list price, 11 days on market,
Versus if you have to take that price
down
reduction.
to 92.5, 65 days on market.
So you're ending up with less than
That's
way
a
more
pain
time.
point you can use
Exactly.
really easily, that's a pain.
Previously listed too.
Right, and if it's previous listed, it's way worse.
In the
You get
121 days.
90% and 121, they almost double.
That's where I fall in,
So
right?
you start asking questions, I mean, that goes from 11 to 65, you fall under what category?
What's that?
Which category do you fall under?
Yeah,
This one?
that red one right there.
Previously listed?
Yeah, I had to
Yeah, I have
rescue a
one.
listing.
Yeah, see,
Yes.
and that's when you bring this slide to your listing presentation and be like, the price is incredibly important, because look how likely we are to end up here. And we don't want, and you create that kind of pain for them. We don't wanna end up here. We are previously listed, we can't get rid of that, but if we get the price right and don't have to take the reduction, we could be here. It's still a long time on market, 105 days. Jeez.
So
It's a long time,
does everyone
but
know where to get that
100%.
slide? Or where that slide comes from?
Right here.
I mean, all the.
No. But Kimberly sends, I think this
Yeah,
is
the metric
important,
market report,
Kimberly sends this out every month from
Sure.
Chartmasters,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
And when
yeah.
you're in a,
It's in your Dropbox, yeah.
yeah, specific marketplace, like, here in East Coburn, you can get hyper local information and it'll tell you like, hey, listen,
Absolutely.
if 9 days in, if we don't have an offer, this is what it's saying. We
Right.
missed on price.
Yep, and you wanna have this conversation before, not during, when you're
Correct.
talking price
Yes.
reduction. This is when you're listing to convince them to get to the right price, so we can be on this side, not on this side. But it's way better to be on this side if you've not been previously listed. Look at 9 days versus 105. Even if you get the price right, you're gonna sit if you've been listed and got it wrong previously.
The key is take those numbers and actually use your price points and plug them in, because 192 and 97, all those things, they don't quite get it. The minute you break it down and go, hey, this is this, or 90% of your number is this, all of a sudden they see that gap, and it creates a bigger fear or sense of urgency, or creates a stronger conversation.
Well, and it's kind of counterintuitive, like if we price it lower, we'll get more. It doesn't make sense to sellers, but it's because of these numbers, you know? You
The
take
stigma, the stigma.
Yeah, exactly. You're gonna end up with more at the end of the day if you price it correctly, or even a little bit under where you think you should price it, which has always been your strategy. And this is this, yeah.
Can we go back back to the slide again, Kimberly? I just want to look at, it's almost similar to the conversation, what slides work for your client? There's really only one choice, the rest of them are so scary.
Yeah.
That's just it, you create that pain versus pleasure conversation.
Yes.
105, 42, 121, 65, those are miserable numbers. If you tell your client that's the path they're on,
Right.
They-
But you
they
could
will-
get it.
or you can get it 9, that's what you gotta tell them.
Because if you're taking this number of 25 is
the-
all
is
the
the average.
data. But when you take it
Correct.
here, it's like, man,
Yeah.
you fly off that market in two weekends.
Do you want 9, or do you want the risk of 105, 42, 65, or
I
120?
know, and I will admit, I used to always bring just a few of these slides, including this one, to every listing presentation. I got out of the habit in COVID, and I haven't been back in, but I need to, like, because you can, not for every person, right?
Yeah.
If you've got a bubbly high eye like me, it's like, oh, you don't need data, they don't need data, they just want the story and they'll love you and they'll
Yeah.
listen to you. If you get that person that's more messy, and some Ds, but they don't wanna spend a lot of time on it, they just wanna get the point and move on.
Yes.
But you want to have this kind of information, because if they're the personality that wants that information, you're really gonna come off as the expert if you bring the data.
But the ones
it's
that
not
do
just-
listings right now, what are your sellers feeling? Are they feeling like, oh my God, it's a great market, there's low inventory, I should be at 450, but I'm gonna put it at 500 because it's such a slow market. Are y'all hearing that right now? What are you hearing right now? Tina, what are you hearing?
I'm still hearing, let's try to list high, and then we have to go through this.
You're still hearing that?
Yeah, because inventory's
Inventory's so low, yeah.
Yeah.
My neighbor's got this.
Well,
Yeah.
correct, that greed reverberation since COVID has continued to trickle. Meaning sellers just think, oh yeah, I mean, and prices are high, so, but a lot of it. My story right now in that red box, and I hate to pick on agents, but a lot of it has to do with bad agents out there, because the listing that I just rescued for the seller, he was way overpriced, 40 days on market, no showings,
Oh.
with no price reduction. They listed it Black Friday.
Come on.
They called me over New Year's. It was a referral from my wife's former employee, and it was horrible. I mean, like, sorry, there's no commercial agent. It was a commercial agent. Should have never taken the listing. So I mean, there's those stories out there too, but but most of it's seller greed. But it's also agents where we're saying having this educational conversation, showing the data, which most people don't do.
Yeah.
To avoid those pitfalls.
Yeah.
So this is a good one to print out and bring.
It's as simple as slides to understand, actually.
Yeah.
And to explain. You don't have to really go that deep into it. You can just really just, this is less than a 5-minute conversation, honestly. And it can save you hours later.
Yeah.
When it does get hard, when it does get to the point of, oh my gosh, I see things are happening.
And there's some other charts that I
Which is key, Chris, because a lot of times you go in those appointments and there's just a sea of graphs,
Mhm.
depending on what letter you are.
Yeah.
They're just like,
You don't want
next,
all of
next,
them, I just
next.
bring a few
Yeah,
of them.
but that,
Mhm.
your
Press the
point
chase.
is they can read it and understand it
Yeah.
versus all the little lines.
And it's easy to leave with somebody.
Yes.
And then look at it later and understand it without you being in the room.
Correct.
And if you're interviewing against other agents and they're promising a price point, it's also helpful to go, man, Libby or Chris or whoever else is saying this number, and here's why they're saying it. You've given a reason why you believe that's the price versus just getting your sign in the ground.
And it also, I would say, it helps you determine, do I wanna take this listing on? Because if they've been listening before, and they're still in all in with price, and they will not listen to you, do you want a failed listing? Not really. I'd rather save my money and time and heartache and go, best of luck to you, you're gonna find somebody who will let you list for that.
And that's all, and that's proprietary to Keller Williams, you know, the chart master is only us still, right? Yeah.
Not
And
only
it's a
have-
huge benefit.
Not only have the conversation, but special stipulation in your
Yeah.
listing agreement. If we don't get an offer in
11
10 days
yeah.
or whatever it is, we're gonna agree to reduce, have a price reduction, and we'll have a conversation at that point.
Yes. Great. More work up front, easier to consider.
I think so.
And they want to trust you too. At the end of the day, if it,
And this basically is kind of
They believe you.
saying the same thing with the failed listings. You kind of see it by price point. The gray was 2022, the red is 2023. So you see, I mean, you get up to these higher price points, holy cow. You get so excited, like, oh my God,
I got another listing.
holy cow, almost 50% chance almost that it'll fail. So it's like, we gotta price it right. Because guess what comes with $1 million listings? A lot more marketing dollars.
Yep.
You're doing the
Pricing.
drone, you're doing more photos, you're doing. and
Everything's
it's-
luxury.
You're spending money, but at what, at what chance that you
Like
won't
actually,
ever get
2022,
commission back?
62.9% failed.
It's wild for 1.5
You're right,
million.
and the key is then you get that listing and you're like, I'm gonna go spend that money, I'm gonna go buy something with it, and you start living a lifestyle that you haven't earned yet.
Yeah.
That's the hardest part about real estate is you start getting these higher price points and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm buying a new car, I'm buying a Tesla, I'm going on vacation. Unless you budget and learn how to actually control your finances, you'll be screwed and you'll be in a really bad place trying to play catch up the rest.
Well, and I think it's because this is fourth quarter, I think a lot of this is the market kind of caught up, right? Because it's like, you price it one way because, hey, this sold in June, that's pretty good. June and October are not the same, especially when rates go up to 8%, buyers freak out. If you're priced on a comp that was sold in June and you made no, differences, it's like, ooh, you might end up closer to that number, so. And I think there's a next one, yeah, this is kind of similar. So for every 100 listings,
Finalize.
No, just listed, I guess. So no, not closed because these are failed. So out of 100 listings that went on the MLS, I'm assuming,
Yes.
36
they got listed all.
failed, probably due to overpricing,
Yep.
64 sold, and out of those 64, 26 had to be price reduced. And that, it changes the, but if you're priced correctly, which is 38 of them, correctly priced, which is 59% of the ones that sold.
60% of the ones that sold.
Yeah.
Yep.
Then you'll 11 days on market, 100%. So again, it's just kind of it's a similar slide to the last one. It's just if
So
you like that
62
one.
every 100 homes are overpriced.
Finalize is
It's wild.
failed. Okay. Yeah, it's fine.
And
It may not be
something
good,
happened
but
with
it's
The
fine.
challenge I have sometimes is when I'm on the buy side, convincing the listing agent they're overpriced,
Yeah.
and when I'm trying to negotiate, I want to almost send this slide to them sometimes and say, listen, Doug is wrong, without being an ignorant jerk. But your job is to fight for your job, so when you realize this is the path that listing's on, and you can create an opportunity for them.
Yeah.
And you want that listing agent, that whatever company, they're not getting this information. They don't know this stuff. They don't realize that in 10 days, if it's not under contract, you cannot get full price tickets. They don't know that. No one's telling them that.
Are my seller wanting to list for this?
Oh, we're almost done, guys, we're close.
Months of supply, so. What are we looking at?
Yeah, I don't know this one.
Resale, the total, so I guess this is only resale, new construction, resale, and then the total. Okay, and we're looking at price point, 200 and above, this is single family.
Months
So
of supply.
new construction, there's a ton of new construction, actually, it doesn't always feel like it, but you got, in the lower price points, you got 5.5 months, that's almost a buyer's market.
Where are those houses at?
This is, and the red means it's increased from the previous
Do we
year.
know where a 200 to 299 new construction is?
I mean, out in like Villa Rica.
Can you tell me?
Gwinnett.
Gwinnett?
Yeah.
Now, we had
Northern
We had
Gwinnett?
loan officers, it was the biggest month ever in December, closing out
In
the
those
construction
periphery,
stuff.
one out from, one or two out.
Are we talking like up,
Pushton,
up towards the lake?
Pushton is near Brazelton, yes.
That's an interesting question. I mean, a lot of my buyers are on the,
Oh, what
on the
county?
north to west side, so I don't skew Gwinnett.
But you kind of see the red is where supply has increased compared to the last year, green supply decreased, and then yellow is kind of the no change. But you see there actually is, so look at this one for new construction, 6.5 months, that's a buyer's market right there. And the resale is kind of where, you know, I mostly live and breathe. We're still way lower than these new construction numbers, right? We're around 2 until you get really high. And then the total, obviously, with both of them kind of combined. So it's interesting. It's again, by price point it matters. So that's why it's really hard when someone says, how's the market? That's such a great question. Why do you ask?
Yeah.
What are you
Why do you
interested
ask?
in? You know, because it's like the market's really different. Over here, new construction for over, you know, 2 million and above, that's a very different market than where it is right, well, market doesn't exist, but than it is right here, $759.99 resale.
Who's taking bold this go around? Raise your hand. Bold? Who's bold with me? All right. In step 1, it was touched on briefly, we control the narrative as agents. So what that is if you ask the right questions and learn what's important, you can tell the story that they need to learn in here versus the nightly news that tells a national story. You tell the local story. You tell the new construction versus resale. You tell the Cobb versus Cherokee. You tell the Gwinnett story. So at the end of the day, if you learn what's important to your clients and you learn the information, you actually can motivate them because you told them the truth versus the big picture.
And you can tell them individual stories too that connects with people in a way that data sometimes doesn't. You know, data's always right, but it's like you can share stories that you've heard, you experience yourself or other agents are sharing, and it's like, oh, okay, that could bring the point home in a way. But what do you guys think we'll see this spring? I know this is looking back, not looking forward, any of these slides we've gone over, but what do you expect this spring to happen?
When rates drop, buyers come back.
Blossom.
I don't know about you guys, but I've already had, like, my phone is ringing way more with appointments. Like, both listings and buyer appointments are up, which shows me we're gonna have a good spring, like, you know, when those people are all ready.
I don't like your phone's ringing.
Loan officers, are you seeing rates going down spring?
Maybe not, they're
Maybe
not
not
right
till
now.
summer?
They just, Doug Duncan just put out some info today and they're saying late in the year.
Yeah.
Which, if I were them, that's what I would probably push it all out
I
there
don't
too.
know.
But I mean, I think you
Get lucky,
guys
it
are
happens
gonna,
earlier.
I think y'all are gonna have a similar spring to last year. You're gonna be constrained by inventory. You're gonna have buyers who are eager to buy and they're gonna get into multiple offer situations a few times and some will go to the sideline, some will stay in. I mean.
But I think it's gonna be a little easier than last year, because last year was the first time rates were up in so long, so it really was a mindset thing with buyers, and now we've kind of had a weird year.
I do see a mindset
So it's kind of
shift.
like, I think people now are a little bit
It's a
more used
mindset
to it.
shift.
Okay, I know what rates are where they are, but I'm raising my hand high, so I kind of.
Who can tell me how much gasoline was 3.5 to 4 years ago? Per gallon?
$2 a gallon.
$2.23.
Say it again.
$2 a gallon.
$1.99, okay? Everybody remember that?
Yes.
But now we're so used to it being where?
$3.
$3. It's just like that. That's sort of normal for us right now.
And in COVID, it was almost $5.
So are people thinking right now rates, this is what the rate is? Are they thinking that more right now or not?
Yes.
Yeah.
Why is that, D'Angelo?
Well, they had gone up to 8%, and
Yeah.
so people were like kind of freaked out on the sidelines. The sellers didn't want to move because they had this great rate, and so now that they're down like mid to high 6s, people are like, yes, the rates are lower.
Right. And they're still, but they're lower, they're like, but I really want a 5. You know, agree, you'll pay for it then.
And that's something, I want $1 million house on the ocean.
Exactly,
I can't
exactly.
believe it. Yes, ma'am, Angela.
To your point about the gas, and during COVID, gas was almost $5 here.
Did you
So
never
now-
like skip the gas station though?
You had to do it.
That's right.
And now that it's 3, 2.5, it feels good.
It does.
Right.
But
'Cause
I'm
we're
already
used to
finding
that.
the bidding wars.
Yeah,
The
absolutely.
multiple
Yeah,
offers
It's
that.
good property, it's gonna go.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Price
But
right.
there's, yeah, and it's a
If it's
little
priced
less common than what it was, but it's happening for sure.
It quit sooner than I thought it would,
Yeah, yeah.
but you have to, like you're saying, you have to educate your buyers.
No, I had some buyers in, we lost 2 $1.5 million houses in December. There were multiple offers with people doing crazy things. And it's like the slowest time of year. And I was just like, okay, Milton, I see you. You're a different animal.
Yeah.
So it's like, it is really hyper local.
What you got, Reed?
You asked about, where those subdivisions are, Loganville, Snellville,
Yeah.
Oakwood, Gainesville, and Hall County, Hodgson, however you pronounce it, Auburn, Jefferson, and Jackson County, so
Yeah, you gotta go.
that way,
out.
yeah.
So they're there. Yes, Tina.
I was just gonna say, I showed, 3 houses last week, 2 in East Cobb and 1 in Roswell, and in the first 24 hours, 1 had 7 offers, 1 had 9, and 1 had 11.
Yeah.
And they were all way over list.
Yeah.
And what's gonna happen this fall when if they do go down, what they're saying, the question to me, my question to buyers is, here's a simple question. Are you willing to pay a higher rate now, or do you wanna risk waiting and compete against a lot more buyers and probably pay way more than you would
Not
right
get closing
now?
costs and not lose any
It's-
negotiation power.
I've said it before, it's the cost of waiting. You can wait,
But I
but
think
what
we
would
do
you
have
rather
to-
do?
If you've got a buyer that wants to buy in the next 60 days, I think you do kind of need to preface for, there might be more multiple
I mean,
offers. You know, like if you wanna write
scare
off
'em a little
tomorrow,
with
we
what
might
happened
get away with
3 years
something,
ago. I
but
mean,
if you're looking at
yeah.
60 days, we don't know.
Jim, I think something that you guys just pointed to about the psychological aspect of this is what mortgage rates are. And I'll give you an example of that. I know we don't use this for clients. We don't go, well, back in the day, interest rates were so-and-so, because nobody gives
They
a
don't
crap.
care. They don't care what the parents.
But I will say this, it does tell you something about psychology. I had lunch with a guy yesterday, and I just verified it. His interest rate on his first house was 17%, 1984.
Yep.
Thrilled to have the house. Payment stretched a little bit, and it was like, if we can ever get down in single digits, it'll be fantastic.
But I bet he paid like 30 grand for the house.
70.
Okay.
70, but here's the
And now it's
thing,
worth 8.
but here's the thing about that, but his income probably was $8,000 a year too.
Right.
But it just tells you how the mind works.
Yeah. You can
It
get
took a
used to
while and
anything.
people got used to it and they bought houses, and that's what you're saying.
Yeah.
Even if rates stay where they are right now, people are gonna buy houses.
Still historically
You're gonna
low.
sell all there is out there to sell.
There's still
That's the
debt,
issue.
divorce, diapers.
Yeah.
Diamonds, and what's the other one?
Deployment.
Yeah.
They still exist every day.
Everything that comes on the market pretty much is gonna sell, period. Somebody's gonna buy it right now.
That's right.
If it's priced right.
Right.
Anybody want to venture what you're gonna see out there in the spring that you're thinking differently? Anybody?
I'm with Libby, we're getting more calls, more people coming out.
Yeah.
So
I think it's gonna be competitive.
Yeah.
Educate.
And I think
We're
the
playing for a bigger
inventory is
year.
gonna be still low, so I think it is gonna be getting creative, finding off market, networking with agents, like, you know, you're gonna have to work harder than just, hey, I'll set up a search for you in MLS. Let me know what you wanna go see, you know, that's not gonna cut it for a lot of people, I think.
So what's it gonna take to get our inventory back up? Anybody want to venture that question?
What's your theory?
I have a theory.
Mike, tell me.
I think that at some point, there's gonna be legislation that changes the
Yeah.
way that rental property is taxed for the corporations that hold it.
Yeah.
And I think it's going, and I don't necessarily like that, but I bet you it's gonna happen. And at that point, the companies that own 50, 60,000 are gonna begin to divest themselves of
And
inventory.
Atlanta is always one of the highest invested areas.
Correct.
Yeah, that's what,
Well, it'll
was it
impact us more than
60,000
other
in the metro
places.
area?
Yeah,
Owned by
we're a
companies?
hotbed of investor-owned
That
properties.
is the bubble that could pop, which could help people.
It could.
But I want you to go back, y'all, to that slide where it talked about the number of sales every year for the past 20 years. What did you see there?
Inventory was higher.
Go
but
get
it's
your fair
still
share.
Yeah, I mean, so guys, we're still gonna sell houses this year. And in fact, I was telling someone yesterday that we had our 6th best December ever, which means 6 years ago was our best year ever. And 6 years ago, we were thrilled to have that amount of sales. We were thrilled to have that amount of sales. And so we matched that December of last year, it was our 6th best, or was it? It was in December, is that correct, guys? So guys, we have a higher bar now, our bar's up here now, we want to do, because this office typically does about 1,900 to 2,100 units a year in a decent market. Last year we did, I think, 1,700. Guys, that's still a ton of real estate that we're selling.
And if you're a brand new agent, get those numbers of what our office does, and you can tell your, at your appointments, hey, this is what we did last year. You don't need to say, oh, we only sold one house. So you can say, hey, my office sold 1,700 houses last year.
And also realize this office trains you the right way.
Yeah.
If you're a new agent, you need to be in the classrooms having conversations. You need to be in the morning calls or wherever else, or power ups, whatever we call it now. You need to be in those rooms having those conversations. Because the more you do it, the better you get, and you get your fair share.
And you get rusty.
Any questions of this, guys? Any questions at all? Anything you want to ask about? Anything that you'd like to say? Well, here's how I'm feeling. How do you feel? Anybody at all? This is a very quiet group of agents right now, which I'm not used to agents being quiet.
Is anybody scared of the current market? What are you scared about?
Well, I mean, just the volatility. I think there's so many people who are waiting because it's an election year, there's inflation. I'm trying to work on my first-time home buyers, convincing them that now that they have 3 labs in a condo, they really should go buy a house now.
Right.
With a backyard.
Should be an easy conversation.
Which
yeah.
should be super easy, but there's 3 of them that I'm working with right now, and they're kind of like, waiting for the raise, waiting for the election, waiting for inflation to come down. It doesn't hurt that bad yet. We're
And you're
still-
always
There's no pain yet.
you're always
That's
gonna
it. It just
find
doesn't
those
hurt yet.
people, and I think that your goal is to stay in touch with them.
Yes.
But when they give you the signs, hey, I'm freaking out, you go, cool, I will stay in touch with you and I'm gonna focus on other people. I'm gonna go find those motivated people to have to move.
Yes.
Because we can strain so much energy stringing along somebody that they might not buy for 5 years.
Right.
It's like, oh my God, I don't want this to cost 5 years of my life.
Right.
So it's like staying in touch,
Yeah.
but kind of pulling back.
Keeping all those touches, cultivating pipeline,
Yeah. And
all
then
the
spending
things
your
that you
energy
taught
on,
us,
let me go find motivated
but-
people.
I think that's kind of where some people are, that it doesn't hurt bad enough yet, and there's so many variables and it's so volatile that a lot of people are just sitting and waiting and watching.
Go find the people.
Right.
Who aren't,
Right.
correct,
Right.
the non-scaredy cats.
My coaches said that we do not have an inventory problem, we have a database.
Yeah.
And I said, do you know what that means? He said, Jim, if you had 10,000 people in your database that you could call, do you think you might find a willing and ready buyer? Sure. You think you might find a willing and ready seller? Sure. And I thought, isn't that brilliant that you put it that way? I thought that's the way it is, guys. And so somebody's gonna sell houses this next year in this office. What about this office? It may be you tomorrow, or you next week. Brenda, are you concerned about the market this spring?
No, I'm not.
Tell me why.
I mean, we're already seeing a lot of activity, and really the reality is that first of all, we've had all this cold weather. And I think when people are hunkered down at home and it's cold and they've been indoors, they start looking at where they live and they're like, I want to change this, I want to do that. And I think that kind of weather actually motivates them to get going. I think that's part of the reason, not the only reason, that we're starting to get a lot of calls. We're already have more units under contract and closed in January and February than we did last year. So, you start looking at that and you realize it's gonna be really good. And I also think that, and this is something, a mental shift that I had, is that your clients move to the speed that you move.
Yeah. Right.
So if you're having anticipation with the market and you're like, I'm a little worried and this, that, and the other, even whether you're not saying that to your client, they feel it, right? And so you need to be the one that creates that confidence of, here's the market, here's what's gonna happen, here's what we're gonna do. Of course, you can't predict the market, but I do think that that's the other thing. So make sure that everything that you're not feeling a way that would rub off on your client, you know, because it's really never a bad time. I mean, if you think about what real estate does and how it builds wealth for people, it's really never a bad time to buy a home or to make a move. So it's just a matter of, you know, is a move imminent? Like, is it something that you need to do or want to do? It's really about that.
Buddy, you've got 4 children and you're also sharing one bathroom.
And you're in a condo,
Your wife is
two-bedroom
gonna leave
condo.
you if you don't buy a house. Like, but Lon Thomas, you told me last week that your closings had picked up. Tell us about that.
Yeah, we were, we do a, first of all,
Everybody
Mark
know Lon
told me.
Thomas?
Yes.
Hello, everybody. Happy to be here today.
Came out of
Company
nowhere.
Cheryl, I usually don't come down without a closing that moved when I got into this a little bit. Yeah, we get a report every Monday. I get, it's the previous Monday or previous Sunday maybe through Sunday. So a week at a time, and it just measures, you know, purchase. So we do include new construction, but there's no refinance, construction loans, things like that. It's just arm sale transactions like you guys do every day. And that went up, that's gone up every week this month, exponentially. I mean, almost maybe 12, 15, 20% each time. And then I was talking to my partner Mark last night, and he said that we've got about 21 more deals on the books for this month than we had in January of 2023. So that surprised me. I didn't think that. This is always the slowest month of the year for us because you guys are in December, you know, we're on December, like Jim, this office especially always has a good December. And we had a great December last month. But January, always slow. But you know, I can see signs just like you guys have been listening to you. I can always tell by this right here, just like you guys can tell. And it's this, I've had, you probably saw me leave. I've had 2 or 3 phone calls, 2 from agents in this office about issues. I know what they're calling me about, the reason I walked out there. So when you guys start having a lot of traffic, it corresponds to us start getting a lot more files in. So I'm encouraged. I don't know, I appreciate Reed's kind of prognostication on rates and everything, but you guys are right. If you look back over it in time, there's never a bad time. And you're gonna come out on top. So I hope that, every time I think I know something after doing this 32 years now, that I think I know something about the market, it just does whatever I think it's not. So, but yeah, I think the spring's gonna be good. So looking forward to it.
Yes.
Thanks, Lon. You're welcome.
Anything else, guys, that we did not talk about, don't ask about? And I will remind you that if you are one of the people that like statistics, tomorrow in Roswell, we have an email from G about this. The Rawls group is going to do stats.
3 hours of it.
3 hours, which is past my attention span. That's okay. Which is why I brought y'all here. But anyway, guys, but if you're like, I want to hear more about this, and I want to hear more about what's on the market, you're welcome to join them tomorrow. It is 9:30 till 12:30. And so you're welcome to go there. I love it when Libby and Chris are willing to come in and just casually say, well, here's where we see the market right now. Can we give them a hand for doing this? Amazing. Anyway, guys, get your own fair share of the market this year. As you get out there, people are going to buy and sell. So thank you very much. Kim, was there anything that we left out that we need to make sure that we showed as far as slides?
We are having a tax write-off class on the 15th at 11.
And no script practice tomorrow. So I'm gonna be.
Sorry, it's the 12th of February. And then make sure you RSVP for the banquet on Tuesday, 13th.
If you've not been to our awards banquet at the Atlanta Country Club, it is a wonderful affair. We have fun there. We recognize people that have done well this year. So please RSVP and come. You will enjoy being there because it's just a gorgeous event. So anything else we need to talk about at all? Thank you all for your patience.
Thank you for buying tickets. Come get your tickets.